This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 2nd of June. I am Miss Pope.
I am Serbia.
And I am AX. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, the Uhuru scorecard. In the Standard, this is my legacy. In the Star, Uhuru silences Ruto in exit Madaraka Fete. And the People Daily, Uhuru fights back on debt. Now, Serbia, why don't you get us started, please?
Sure. In yet another case of verbal flatulence, Gachagua told residents of Rift Valley that if they vote for UDA aspirants, they'll be given preferential treatment in KDF recruitment.
Tupatie watu wetu wale watakuja kwangu kuchukua barua ya kwenda jeshi. Ukiniletea mtu ya independent atanitoa wapi? Mimi nitakuwa na biashara na yeye. Mimi siko na biashara na yeye. Kwa hivyo mtupatie watu ya mlengo wetu.
In short, if this duo were to take government rather than represent the whole of Kenya, they would without shame favor the Rift Valley community. But UDA has not only expressed bias for the Kalenjin community, it has also expressed its intention to shortchange the other communities. While these KDF recruitment jobs were being promised to residents of Elgeyo Marakwet, the only tangible reward Kikuyus have been promised is plates of rice and beef stew in Sagana. Meanwhile, Ruto has sent Mudavadi on a wild goose chase of delivering 70% of the Luhya vote to get 30% of government. This impossible mission means the Luhya nation will definitely be locked out of Ruto's government. The coast community has been told that if they vote for UDA, they'll be given the Naivasha dry port. If they don't, and UDA forms the government, the Naivasha Inland Container Depot will remain as is. In short, Ruto is telling all these other ethnic groups that should he win, any community not aligned with him will not only be neglected, but they'll also be punished. Does this kind of politics sound familiar?
Yes.
Yes, this was Nyayo era politics. Ruto and Gachagua are giving us a prologue of things to come. That is Moism without Moi.
Yes.
Back to Gachagua. Here at Fort Hall, we have reiterated that Gachagua graduated from the Moi School of Governance. And it seems Gachagua is quite nostalgic of the Moi era. That is why he's borrowing from Moi's playbook when he makes declarations that civil service recruitments will take place through his office. Recruitments and appointments were a preserve for the Kanu Hornbills, while marginalization, persecution, and discrimination was the order of the day for those that refused to conform. In contrast, President Uhuru Kenyatta still delivered his mandate to regions that did not vote for him. Areas like Coast and Nyanza, which didn't vote for Uhuru in 2013 and 2017, are enjoying the fruits of Uhuru's vision. Nyanza, which had been neglected for over 4 decades, had its shipyard revived and now has a port with a complete marine academy and a market complex. Coast region, which had even threatened to secede from Kenya, now has a bypass that is set to develop Mombasa into a gateway city for East and Central Africa. They also have the Lamu port, which has turned Kenya into a global transshipment hub. The Kenya Shipyards Limited at Mtongwe Navy Base and the Liwatoni Fisheries Landing Site to revive our blue economy sector. So what kind of men who call themselves leaders will reverse such gains and further marginalize those that choose to exercise their democratic right? Malevolent men such as Ruto and his running mate. But perhaps the real tragedy of a Ruto presidency is not Ruto himself, but Gachagua, who will be the next president if anything were to happen to Ruto. Gachagua has exhibited disappointingly unpatriotic tendencies on the national stage. We are just left to wonder what more damage and embarrassment he would bring Kenya if he was on an international stage representing our interests. It has often been said, those the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. Could this be what is happening to Gachagua, who is scoring own goals every day? At this rate, we just have to wonder if Gachagua is a mole in UDA, since with his utterances, he's just campaigning tirelessly for Baba and finishing Ruto completely. Either way, he is a blessing to Azimio. So even as the duo makes it clear that UDA government will not be accommodating to those who won't vote for Ruto, the good news is that there is no government in opposition. And UDA's journey to opposition is unstoppable at this point.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Interesting. So we'll take a different tangent and speak on yesterday's celebration. So listening to President Uhuru's speech yesterday, one thing stood out for me, that this year is not just an election year, but it is the fight for the soul of our nation.
Amen.
I say this because President Uhuru outlined how his administration has multiplied the fruits of our liberation. With regard to big push investment, he has made bold investments that call for surgical and ruthless execution. And crucially, the president answered the naysayers who ignorantly ask, why the heavy investment in infrastructure, or those who state that roads and floating bridges cannot be eaten? His response to the naysayers is that infrastructure has nothing to do with what has been built, but rather why it has been built, describing that 11,000 kilometers of road means that a farmer who for decades was unable to quickly get his produce to the market is now able to do so. Because of the world-class ports, fishermen in Kenya's oceans and lakes are able to be more productive.
Yeah.
Towns and villages that were once asleep have now come back to life, booming as vibrant centers for economic and social activities. That the value and utility of land adjacent to the infrastructure has appreciated, instantly elevating many lives out of poverty. But more importantly, the president was categorical that big push investments cannot happen in an environment of graft, corruption. And that is why in many areas the state has taken over using the discipline, unity of command and the effort of the military.
Yeah.
Jeshi has been an effective vehicle in securing development. They have turned previous dead state corporations, such as the Kenya Meat Commission, into a profit-making enterprise in record time. Or the Kenya Shipyard Limited, which had collapsed due to mismanagement and corruption. Today, it is the largest shipyard in sub-Saharan Africa. Simply put, the president has maintained the speed of doing things, such as building the expressway in just 18 months instead of 4 years, because he cleaned up from inside out. The Madaraka Day address signaled that this is not just an election year, but a tipping point where Kenyans either choose to build on the progress that has been made or go in the opposite direction and undo it all. Based on the premise that siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya, bad politics can unravel the rising trajectory that Kenya is on. As a nation, Kenya has made commendable progress on the social economic front, and Kenya cannot afford to retrogress because of bad and corrupt leadership. The next level of development requires a different type of leader. And this cannot be possible with leaders who are marred with scandals of corruption and crime.
Amen.
And perhaps Uhuru gave us the answer when he said that come August 9th, we have an opportunity of having a woman shatter the glass ceiling by assuming the second highest office in our republic. If anyone can take this country to the next level, I believe it is Martha Karua. Not only does she have a high gangster index, she has vision for country.
Okay, fantastic. So I'd like to keep on the theme of yesterday's Madaraka Day celebrations. And I would like to note that at the celebrations, President Kenyatta did not invite his deputy to speak. And now, as the nation criticizes the president for his alleged pettiness, we at the Fifth Estate ask, so what? For a man who has campaigned against his boss and systematically undermined his work at every turn, for a man who sees every state function as a stage for his dishonest brand of politics, we argue that what the DP got, he deserved. Allow me to explain. First, the exclusion of Ruto reflects the current state of affairs, that for all intents and purposes, Kenya does not have a deputy president. Despite receiving a salary and benefits, Ruto does no actual work related to the position for which he was elected. He no longer leads any government agenda. Instead, Ruto has become a presidential candidate, using every event from the launch of BBI to the National Prayer Breakfast to build a platform for himself. For example, at Kibaki's funeral, he disrespected his boss by drawing parallels between our previous heads of state in an attempt to belittle President Kenyatta's legacy, the same legacy he takes credit for on the campaign trail. Yet in becoming Ruto the candidate, he forgot one thing. His invitation to speak at our Madaraka Day celebrations was made out to Deputy President William Ruto and not candidate Ruto. And at our nation's 59th Madaraka Day, candidates were not invited to speak. RAILA wasn't. Now, this all seems simple enough, right? Wrong. To truly understand why Ruto got what was coming to him, we need to look at the relationship and the fallout between these two men. In fact, if I dare to venture, I would call the ongoing feud between them the duel of the century. And in this duel, each man has a different endgame. For Ruto, it is to become the president and seize the power of the state. For President Kenyatta, it is to secure his legacy and the gains secured for country under his administration. One endgame is about personal power, and the other is about country. And these endgames color the actions that both men take. For example, when Ruto broke protocol to invite Martha Karua to speak at the National Prayer Breakfast, he did so not because it was important to platform his opponent, but because it made him appear magnanimous and covered up his very obvious nervousness. And when the president denied Ruto the opportunity to speak at Madaraka Day, he did so because he was not sure who would appear. Would it be Ruto the candidate peddling falsehoods, or Ruto the DP who's been missing in action? And he did not want Ruto the candidate peddling more misinformation to the people of Kenya at a national event. Indeed, as Ms. Pope noted, the president used this year's Madaraka Day address to explain why Ruto's promises to dismantle his legacy are nonsensical, uninspired, and just plain lazy. He set the record straight by explaining the vision that animated his development model. The president reminded country that development takes time. Having Ruto speak would have clouded a message country needed to hear right before we go to the polls. In the end, Ruto was right to be excluded. The president did not know who would have spoken, Ruto the candidate, or Ruto the DP who has been MIA, or maybe even a third William Ruto, a man desperate to avoid The Hague. Who knows? All right, those are our submissions for today, but we need to take a look at our headlines, and just to go through them once more. The headlines for the day are: in the Daily Nation, the Uhuru scorecard; in the Standard, this is my legacy; in the Star, the Uhuru silences Ruto in exit Madaraka Fete; and in the People Daily, Uhuru fights back on debt. Now, we have a three-part criteria that we use to judge these headlines. We ask ourselves three questions. Are the headlines topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, thoughtful or just plain lazy? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about our headlines today?
I like the Daily Nation and the Standard. They are speaking about what Uhuru has done in the 9 years that he has been in office. And frankly, he's the president that has done the most for Kenyans.
Yes.
And we will remember him as the best president Kenya has ever had.
I also like the Standard, short and sweet. This is my legacy. I mean, it just says it all.
It says it all. Okay. So am I right in assuming that we have two winning headlines today in the Standard and the Daily Nation? Yes. All right, perfect. So allow me to look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. We have a three-part criteria that we use to break down the cartoons for you. We ask ourselves three questions. Are the cartoons humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, effective or just plain lazy? Now, why don't we get started with the Daily Nation?
So the Daily Nation, we have caricatures of Uhuru behind a podium, and he seems to be tossing away his Madaraka Day speech and instead reading the long CV. But behind him, we have Ruto and Raila seated. This cartoon, really, I don't know what they're intending to achieve, because being his last Madaraka Day speech, Uhuru had to outline, and tell the nation what he's done for the country. And so I think we should actually toss it.
Toss the nation? Serbia, are you in agreement?
Yeah, yes.
All right, cool. Boom. All right, now we move on to the Standard.
Yeah, that is mine. So, there is a cartoon caricature of Baba as a puppet on a string. Why the long nose though?
It's like Pinocchio.
Yeah, what is he lying about? This Baba puppet is holding a Baba Tosha placard. Of course, the hand guiding the movements is visible. But the context is that actually people are saying that Baba is President Uhuru's project, or basically is a project. Actually, people should put respect on Baba's name. Baba has been a people's candidate for very many years now. He has his own 44% voting block. So he's no one's project. It's getting old.
It is.
All right, so I'm assuming the Standard means goodbye to the
That's it,
Standard.
yes.
All right, now on to the Star. Now, the Star cartoon confuses me, to be very honest with you guys. So, what we see are caricatures of Uhuru Kenyatta giving his Madaraka Day speech as he silences Ruto with his hand. Behind him are the doors to Alchemist. You guys are familiar with the bar and what's been going on there?
Yeah, of course.
Now, these doors are separated. You have one door for blacks on one side, another door for white and Indians on the other. Now, the door for the white and Indians is open, suggesting this is the door that the president came through. Now, the cartoon seems to imply that the Alchemist situation is related to the president's Madaraka Day speech. And while I can understand what they're going for, and this idea that 59 years after getting independence, there are still instances of racism in this country. It's still not something we ought to, celebrate. I can understand what they were trying to do. However, more information has come to light about the Alchemist situation. If there is another video that has come out, please do go ahead and watch that for yourself before making further judgments and comments on this issue. So, I'm, again, very confused. It feels like it's trying to do a lot with very little space.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Toss it.
Toss it? Serbia, toss it?
Yeah, so.
All right, I guess that means we have no winning cartoons. Okay, now, on a day where we've had 2 winning headlines and no winning cartoons, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we are also on your TV screens. You can find us on Pang Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. Unfortunately, today I do not have a quote for you guys, but I will say this: have a fantastic evening.